Saturday, an interesting type of game. You guys had a big lead and ended up bouncing back at the end. You talked after the game about learning to win. Is that something that young teams have to go through?
Well, yeah, and you know what? Every year you have a new group, a new dynamic. It's a new kind of energy. Every time you bring a new player in your group, it changes the dynamic between the players. So every year, even though you have players that has won in the past, they kind of know what it takes, but the way you do it changes every year. So learning how to win with a young team at the pro level is a process, and we're learning how to win 4-1. Those guys, the other team had one knee on the floor. We had to finish those guys, but that's good. How we after they scored the tying goal, how we responded, how the bench responded, and the way we've played was pretty interesting. Some guys took leadership in different fashion. Some guys was in being positive on the bench. Some guys was more with actions on the ice. So it was an interesting game as far as evaluating your team and our guys responding well.
Clearly, winning is a priority no matter where you play. But what does it mean to be able to get 3 wins in your first 4 games at home?
Well, playing here, it's in our building. It's in front of our fans. We want to make them proud. We want to, we're going to make mistakes, and we all do. But the mistake we won't make, and we don't want to make, is we want to be a hardworking team. So, especially in front of our fans, on the road as well. Don't get me wrong, but in front of our fans, we want to bring at least a hard, honest effort, and mistakes will take care of that. But we want to be perfect with our efforts, and it starts at home. So once you establish that as a way of playing in front of your fans, then you can bring it on the road.
Are there any challenges to having these back-to-back weeks where you're front-loaded with practice time and waiting to play games on the weekend?
Well, of course, you don't want to stay too long on the ice, but at the same time, you can use those practices to visit some part of your systems where you need to improve, and it's always good. I mean, you don't want to practice too much, and you don't want to get to a point where the practices are boring. So the amount of time we're going to spend on the ice practicing, it's got to make sense. We want to work hard, but with a purpose. So there's a challenge in order to be creative, to keep it interesting for the players. But that's our job. That's what we get paid for,